who is on this call, what they understand, and therefore what we can touch on. Okay, we've got a lot of yeses, but we do have a lot of no's as well. And so I'm just going to touch on some broad basics that some of you have heard before, but I want to make sure that the people who've typed no understand the technology and therefore can understand what we're talking about. So very, very briefly, can you all hear me if I face this way? Is the microphone still coming through? Say 10 if it's nice and loud. Say 1 if it's very quiet. Just doing a little mic check facing that way. Okay, great. So this is working. Awesome. So let's go into this. So for those of you who haven't yet been on a short technical training with me, I want to touch on what blockchain is. So very, very briefly, blockchain is simply an open source ledger. It's an accounting book. And so when a transaction happens on blockchain, that transaction is written down in a block, in a page. If you have 2 transactions happening, there'll be 2 transactions written in a block. 3 transactions, 4 transactions, 5 transactions, all recorded and available inside of an open source accounting book, a ledger. That ledger lasts a certain amount of time, something called a block. In this case, if we look at Bitcoin, every block lasts 10 minutes. And so we can go back 14 years and look at every single transaction that has ever taken place inside of the Bitcoin ledger, inside of the Bitcoin accounting book. We can go into something called a Bitcoin scanner or Bitcoin Explorer. That's just another word for an open source ledger. And we can track every single transaction that's ever taken place on the Bitcoin chain. So the reason we call it blockchain is because transactions are stored in blocks, and those blocks are put into a chain of history for us to go and audit or read or check up on or explore. Now, the second exciting thing about blockchain is that it's not just a ledger of transactions, it also becomes a computing system that allows the internet to change how it moves and stores data. So I want you for a moment to think about current internet. The current internet is something called Web 2.0. It's server-based technology, and we move data along this super highway called the internet, Web 2.0. What blockchain is it's Web 3.0. So it also operates like a super highway, and it also moves value along this highway. It moves transactions, it moves data, it stores data all along this highway. You've got a Bitcoin highway, you might have an Ethereum highway, and an Apertum highway, a Solana highway, all these different blockchains that are moving information backwards and forwards. Now, these highways allow people to interact with them. So use the highway to get goods or services or products. So let's have a look at the Apertum highway. The Apertum highway has something called DAO1. That's the platform that many of you are using. DAO1 uses the Apertum highway, APTM highway, to access products or services to move value from point A to point B. DAO1, as a marketplace, has certain products or services in it. So we see the copy bot that allows people to trade. We see the mining bot that allows for the distribution of Apertum. We see the market analysis bot that sits inside of here with more products and services coming into DAO1. We also see other platforms using the Apertum blockchain. We see a decentral exchange or a DEX, that allows people to exchange Apertum for another cryptocurrency. So inside of the DEX, you can see people are able to move a per term and exchange it with something called USDT. That's another platform that uses the Apertum blockchain. We also have technology called bridge technology that bridges value from the Apertum blockchain to other blockchains, or that bridges value from other blockchains across into the Apertum blockchain. So we can have people who are using one type of blockchain, one type of highway, maybe the Ethereum highway. We can have people who are using the Binance chain highway, all bridging value into and out of Apertum. And in fact, we can go and track the value that moves from one blockchain into the Apertum blockchain, and we can track value that moves out as well. In simple terms, people who no longer want to use one road are choosing to use a different road. And the good news is we can look and track all of this information. So I want to show you how you can go into your DAO1 platform, how you can navigate to some of these different platforms, and you can start tracking the value that is moving in and out of this ecosystem. Why would that be important to you? In the chat function, let me know why it's important to understand how to track the movement of value. Bearing in mind that this blockchain only went live on the 1st of February, 2025, why do you think it's important to start tracking if value is moving from other chains into this chain, and if the number of users using this chain is increasing or decreasing in number? Okay, someone's typed in transparency. Yes, that's important. Establishing credibility, absolutely. Someone has said, because we are the community who also owns value in the technology. Yes, you're right. Anyone who is mining Apertum, you've got almost an ownership in the use of the blockchain. Yes. Because Apertum is used as gas fee. Absolutely. Yes, that's correct. Helps you to know the health of the projects and the platform. Yes, absolutely. It's fantastic to be able to see the information that sees whether the platform is healthy and growing. Okay, usability. Yes, if we can see that more value is moving in, that the number of transactions are increasing, then we can see that there's more use for the Apertum token and Apertum blockchain. Absolutely. So all of this stuff you can measure for yourself, and I'm going to show you how. And again, this is so that you can have confidence in the technology, so that you don't have to have confidence in the people. I want to say this again very clearly for you. The world right now is driven by politics. Politics, by its very nature, means that you have to have confidence in the people making the decisions. So confidence in a new president, confidence in a governor or a senator, confidence in a CEO of a company, confidence in the CEO of a bank. All of these different structures that we currently have are people-based structures. They are confidence in the people by their very nature. What we've got with blockchain, and specifically with smart contracts, okay, contracts that execute value without you and I needing to give it permission, is we can start having confidence in the technology. And that's only possible if we can see what the technology is doing. If we can see whether there's an increase in usability, an increase in value moving into the ecosystem, an increase in trust or credibility. So I want to show you how you can do that for yourself. And I'm going to share my screen with you to make that all possible. So let me just go back one step here on my screen, share, and right. The first thing to note here is when we look at the DAO1 dashboard, all we're looking at is a Web 2 interface that is drawing data from a Web 3 blockchain. Why that's important is that all of the products, the services, the contracts are embedded in the blockchain. And so even if an interface gets attacked or damaged, the actual value sits inside of the contracts. And so this interface can be updated, it can be improved, it can be changed. All of those changes that we see here on the interface does not affect any of the Web3 functionality in contracts. That's the first thing I want you to understand. So let's have a look at how we can use this interface to navigate into seeing some of the things I've spoken about. First is Explorer. The Explorer is an open source platform that allows you to look at all transactions, all contracts, all movement inside of the Apertum blockchain. This is like having full access to the accounting book for Apertum. Now, there are lots of different explorers out there. If you want to look at the accounting book for Bitcoin, you can go to the Bitcoin Explorer. If you want to look at the accounting book for Ethereum, you can go to the Ethereum scanner. If you want to look at the accounting book for Apertum, you come into Apertum Explorer. And on here, we can see the number of transactions that happen daily at the moment, only 5-6 weeks into the project, so still fairly small. We can look at the number of blocks that have already come into being, so the number of pages that make up this ledger. We can look at the average block time, so how long an average block is being created at the moment, so every half second currently. And again, this will radically fluctuate. We can look at total transactions that have taken place. We can look at the number of addresses that are connected into this blockchain. We can also look at the contracts that have been built using the Apertum technology. We can look at these. These are called digital IDs. These are the business NFTs that each person can own that allows them to exclusively interact with DAO1. We've got the mining bot smart contract that people can click on and get more information on. They can even look at how many mining bots exist. They can even look at which wallets are holding the mining bots. Now, again, we don't know who these wallet holders are. That's the beauty of privacy. But we can see if mining bots move from certain wallets. We can see if a certain amount of Apertum moves. This is very similar to Bitcoin. If we wanted to go and see if someone holds a lot of Bitcoin, we can go and search out those different wallets. We can see the tokens that allow Apertum to bridge from different blockchains in and out of the Apertum one. We can look at the decentral exchange. There's a version 2. That means that there's been an update or upgrade. We can even see that somebody has launched their own NFT using Apertum onto the mainnet. This doesn't mean it's sitting inside of DAO1. It simply means that it is using the Apertum technology. And that's what this technology is built for. It's built for anyone, anywhere in the world to build their own products and services on. As DAO1 members, because you own the mining bots, you benefit from more use of the coin because you are obviously generating and receiving the Apertum coin. So this is the first place that it's really fun to explore and get to know. The second app that's super helpful is this app over here, what we call the bridge. Again, the bridge's role is to move value from other blockchains into the Apertum blockchain. Why is that so critical? Because it allows people who've maybe been using an older blockchain or an older technology to be able to say, I no longer want to use the older version. I want to use something that is faster and safer, that has room to grow in use and value. And so we start seeing people move from older blockchains into this blockchain because they're looking for a new home. They're looking for maybe a more up-to-date technology. And we can see how much value is locking into the bridge that is bringing value into this particular project. So we've got Ethereum. So people can bridge from Ethereum. I'll have to connect a wallet here, which I'm not going to do currently. But there's the Ethereum bridge in here. Let me see if I can get that to work quickly. No, it's not interacting with me because my wallet. We've got Ethereum, we've got Binance, we've got Avalanche with more being added. The more exciting thing is we can click on a button called proof of assets. It doesn't want me to connect my wallet. Sorry, I'm going to stop sharing with you while I do that. Connect wallet. Hold on a moment. Okay, so let me come back and share my screen with all of you again. Share screen. Okay, so we've now connected a wallet into this bridge. We can now start tracking how much value has moved from other blockchains, from other highways, and have moved across into the Apertum highway. So if we look at Ethereum, Ethereum's a very old established technology. It's been around for 10 years already. We can see that sitting inside of what we call a hot wallet, that means the bridges wallet that allows people to move value from one chain across the bridge to the other. We've got over 100,000. And then there's a cold wallet, which allows people to move from one chain to another, but it's got a timed contract that releases that in order to top up to the $100,000 value. In other words, it protects those assets from exposure to any bad players. And we can see that there's already $2.3 million worth of value that has been moving from Ethereum across into the Apertum. That's pretty impressive for something that is only 6 weeks old. $2.3 million of value has moved from one highway, one blockchain, into the Apertum highway. We can do the same for Binance, and we can see how much value's moved there. So what is this? It's 841,000. That's not too bad. Binance Smart Chain bridge recently got launched, so that's not a bad value at all. And again, about 100,000 sitting in what we call the hot wallet. Avalanche, this has just recently been added as a bridge. Again, not much value has come through Avalanche yet. I know that the tech team, the Apertum team, is working hard to bring more bridges, so people who are sitting on other chains can bring value into the Apertum blockchain. Just briefly, I'm going to stop there. Why is it exciting to see this value moving across? Again, 6 weeks old. If you were to compare this to a traditional business, if someone had launched a shop in your town and they came to you and said, we're really excited, we've just recently opened our store, we provide 3 products in the store, and we've done over $2 million worth of trade from another store. In other words, another store that's been around for 10 years, people have chosen to take that and bring it across to us. I'm not talking about sales of the products. I'm talking about customers who would have spent $2 million in one place have come across and have started using this place instead. That's what we need to understand with the bridge. We need to understand that people who preferred to use another shop, that preferred to use another type of car, that preferred to use another type of mobile phone, that preferred to use another thing, has looked at this and said, this one's better. I'm going to bring value here. And we're only 6 weeks in. I often look at some of the feedback that comes back to the DAO1 Foundation. Obviously, I'm a tech advisor on the DAO1 side only. And I look at some of the feedback. And it's interesting to see that people don't yet realize that this is a very young platform. The Apertum chain itself is very young. And yet already there are so many positives that are being ticked as people start using this ecosystem. So I want to take you into one more platform that you can see inside of the DAO1 environment. So let me take you back one more step. Let's go to DAO1 here, click on apps, and I want to show you the decentral exchange. Okay, so the decentral exchange, just very briefly, it's an exchange that allows you to swap, say, Apertum to USDT. The exciting part of a decentral exchange is something called the pools. And let me explain what a pool is. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to do it on the whiteboard behind me because I don't think that people truly understand what a decentral exchange is yet. A decentral exchange, so a decentral exchange allows for the normal person to be able to exchange cryptocurrencies without going through a third party. Let me explain it like this. There are 2 types of exchanges that exist currently for cryptos: central exchanges and decentral exchanges, like the one we're about to look at. A central exchange has a central accounting system, a central wallet system, and a central corporate team who governs and decides how value is moved. So all cryptocurrency moving into the central exchange are housed in central wallets. And the corporate team that is housing that, legally, if you go and read it, they are the custodians of that cryptocurrency. A decentral exchange, as its name says, is a decentral platform. It has smart contracts that execute value, and value moves into it through people called liquidity providers. Normal people. It could be someone called Bianca. It could be someone called Louise. It could be someone called Andrew. It could be anybody who decides to add liquidity, provide liquidity into the decentral exchange. Maybe they decide to add 100 USDT and they decide to add 100 Apertum. Because Louise or Bianca or Andrew or anybody has decided to be a liquidity provider, and because they've added 100 USDT and 100 Apertum, they've now created a 1:1 ratio, an equal ratio that would give the value of Apertum $1 to 1 Apertum. If anyone decides to buy Apertum, so in other words, if someone decides to buy 50 Apertum, they would be buying the 50 Apertum from Louise or Bianca or Andrew, whoever provided that liquidity. And when they buy that 50 Apertum, it changes this number to 50, which means now we've got a 1:half ratio. In other words, $1 buys you half an Apertum. Another way to say that is $2 buys you 1 Apertum. And we have a new price for Apertum. It's no longer $1. Apertum is now $2. So what is the benefit for a Bianca, a Louise, or an Andrew to become a liquidity provider? Well, they earn 0.3% of fees anytime someone interacts with the DEX. Now, if they were the only ones adding 100 and 100, they would own 100% of all transactions. But if someone was adding 100 and the DEX already had $1,000 of liquidity in it, then they would own 10% of the 0.3% transaction fees that are going through the liquidity pool. The DEX allows the Apertum community, this is the community who is receiving Apertum, to put some of that Apertum to work for them. Now, am I saying you should go and put 100% of your Apertum into a DEX? No, because someone who arrives and buys that is buying your Apertum. You are losing your Apertum, and therefore you're losing the thing that might grow in value. So if someone is wanting to become a liquidity provider, you need to decide for yourself, maybe I'm only going to put 10% of my Apertum into that DEX. I'm going to keep the other 90 in case the price climbs, but at least I'm going to make that 10% work for me, generate 0.3% fees. And that could be a habit that you could do, because you essentially are setting yourself up as the decentralized bank, the liquidity provider with some of your Apertum, and you're maybe holding some of the rest, for future growth and fees, etc., as more and more people start using the blockchain. I'm showing you these platforms because I really want you to understand that this isn't just here's some products that people can buy and sell. I think it would be wrong for us to think that this is just a product-based platform. It's important for us to understand that all the different pieces fit together to form an economic environment, a tokenomic environment, where value can be participated in based on your understanding of the technology. And so we want to get on calls like this to help people understand how that technology can be utilized by everyone, regardless of whether you are someone who's just marketing products, or maybe someone who just wants to mine the coins, or maybe someone who just wants to trade. There are other little pieces, smart contracts that are executing value that you can take advantage of or participate in if you know they're there and you know how to use them. So that is my tech piece done for the day. I wanted to touch on the 3 technical parts that are pivotal for people to understand on the smart contracts and the actual chain and how the DAO interacts with that. If you've got any questions that are specific maybe to support, I want to encourage you to use the chat groups that we have. Here's why. You have a support function on your DAO1. You can send a ticket into the support team. It'll then get sifted through and see if it matches any other tickets that have been asked of the same nature, and you will get an automated response based on that. If, however, you are having unique problems, the best place to go is ask inside of the community chat group. Why do I say that? Because whilst that chat group might have lots of different languages and lots of different people and lots of different opinions, what it is also a collective learning space. In fact, it's exactly how a DAO should operate. For those of you who don't know what a DAO is, it's a decentralized autonomous organization. Decentralized, meaning that meaning that there's no central authority making decisions. Autonomous, meaning that the contracts will execute according to how they are designed to execute. Organization, meaning that people can interact with each other. And so you get to learn from each other and you get to share with each other your best learnings. So I want to thank you so much for your time today. I hope that you've understood how the technology works, and I hope that you understand how you can both audit this for yourself, audit visually. If you don't have the auditing skills, how you can take these contracts, take these explorers, take this information, give it to somebody that you trust to go and look through all the contracts, and you can have faith in the technology based on